Okay, I'll let you do the intro.
Okay, because then I don't have to edit it. I have to run out later. To my first live. Okay, live starting. Hold on, let's see.
Are you live streaming?
Yes.
Oh, I just told you not to.
Sorry. I'm trolling the
All
troll.
right.
No, it's
Well,
fine.
let's.
Okay, hold on. Let me do the intro and then hello there and welcome to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley. My name is Draxter Dupre. Another show without Joe Yardley. I really don't know what's happening with Joe Yardley lately. Actually, I do. She's very busy, 1920s Berlin, and her laptop doesn't have a microphone. It's as simple as that. So today is a very special show. You can derive from the title of the show, which is "Talk to the Troll." I have a very special guest today, and we'll have her introduce herself in just a second. Let me just say that if you are ambivalent about, or if you have strong feelings about the trolling pursuit, please chime in on the blog about that. I really would like to have a nice, vibrant discussion about the phenomenon of trolls going on. And I particularly would like to know why a troll, like my guest today, Lavender Storydale, uh, 1 year in Second Life has already surpassed the views that yeah, my top views on YouTube. She makes those in, I don't know, a week or so. And even if I tag my videos with trolling, I don't get those kind of views. So since life is all about likes and and YouTube views, that's what we're going to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, this I want this to be more. I really want to find out what is behind trolls. Before you before you send me hate IMs or before you turn off the broadcast today, um, and before you think to yourself, "Oh, Drax is now again giving oxygen to people who find harassing other people sort of entertaining and or masquerade harassment as comedy, like we did with Esteban Winsmore back in episode 3." Let me just say that Lavender Storydale, we had a prior conversation, and I really do want to go into this conversation in a non-judgmental way. I confused Lavender with another guy, or not. I didn't confuse her, but there was another guy a couple shows back who just uh, came into the live broadcast on Fantasy Fair and was incredibly offensive and really not that funny. Obviously, he threw around very offensive words, um, and he harassed Xander when he just spoke about his father's death from cancer, and that was not okay. So this guy, and I thought this guy was affiliated with Lavender, so I got really pissed off. But he's really a different guy, and Lavender's YouTube channel, which we're linking to on the blog, I have to admit there is some humor in it, and I was chuckling. So, anyways, without any further
Wow.
ado, let me introduce Lavender. Hi, Lavender. Thanks for coming on the show today.
No problem. And I just want to let everyone know that Draxter's holding me in his Second Life basement. I'm currently being held captive for this interview.
I also live in a real life basement, of course, because at my age, if you're that limited of talent, you have to move back in with your mom. Now, Lavender, can you describe what do you do? I mean, describe for people who haven't seen excerpts. We're going to play a little excerpt maybe to start with. Here you are going into a guy's living or kitchen and you're just sort of claiming that you're his girlfriend, and he gets really agitated. Let's listen to this clip. And here I'm gonna, if you watch this on YouTube, I'm gonna splice in the clip. And earlier I said I'm not gonna edit because I don't have time, and now I'm doing it. Oh God! All right, but it
Yeah, you
has to
should
be like
definitely
this.
edit.
Um, Now Lavender, this you get people when you go into Second Life and you approach. It looks to me men primarily, and you are primarily kind of playing this really annoying girlfriend. I mean, these videos are called the crazy girlfriend. Is that what you do?
That's a pretty accurate description. Yeah, I just there's no rhyme or reasoning to it. I just sort of pop around and try to find old people. I mean, that's
What is
I mean
old
that's
to you?
really it.
Hold
That's
on.
how
What is old to you? You sound young to me. I'm not an ageist, but what is old to me to you? Because for my son,
basically
somebody who's 30 is
basically
old.
yeah. I mean, it really just depends. I think on Second Life, I'm just trying to find people who are taking the game far above and beyond, how serious it really should be taken.
Hmm.
So yeah, but there's no rhyme or reasoning. I try to target men. I think men are the most fascinating people on Second Life. They're very defensive. It's very fascinating.
But you also had
But
a
the women
video
are
where
also just
you,
as interesting.
yeah, because you have one video where you kind of go between a couple, and of course they both get really agitated because you're just inserting
I
yourself and saying,
do.
I'm gonna marry this guy, or we're married, and you told me, we're gonna get married, and here's his girlfriend right next to him.
That was a very interesting exchange. And that's the thing is I never really know how things are going to go when I teleport somewhere. It's very improv. I don't know who's going to be there. Don't know how they're going to react. But one thing that I do find on Second Life is people tend to overreact quite often.
Why do they overreact?
That's a really good question.
Well, I'll tell you the answer real quick, because
All right,
when
you tell me the answer,
okay,
and I'll
here's
tell
the
you what I think.
okay, so I've been in Second Life for 10 years, and I've been trying to tell a different story, a story where it's an empowering universe and not a universe of quote unquote losers who live in their mom's basement and then they could try to escape into this fantasy life. So when people create an avatar, create a life, and buy a house and furnish that house, when you come in and you say, "Hey, I'm going to move in with you," for these people it is the same as if you were to do this in real life. And you just said, okay, people take that game too seriously. Um, Maybe for them it is not a game. Maybe for them it is a very valid parallel life that has a positive reverberation into their real life.
Well, that's not my fault that they're doing that, you know? Like it is something that should not be taken seriously, and I'm honestly always impressed with how angry and emotional people tend to get over just me showing up and being nice. I'm really not like it's not like I'm showing up and saying, you know, like I'm gonna show up into the real life home and kill them. I'm just showing up and saying hello. People tend to just fall apart.
Well, like I said, I mean, I have to give it to you. I think it's definitely, there's some entertainment value and it's pretty funny. And you mentioned improv. I mean, I'm just wondering, is this to you kind of an improv thing? But I completely understand, and you're invading their privacy, and this is something that they take very seriously. Who are you to judge them that they take this life, this second life that they created for themselves, very seriously? That is their little
Well, that's
baby. That is their,
well, that's not.
yeah.
Listen, it's not my fault that they don't have a sense of humor. Like, I can only be who I am. And if I show up and say some silly things, it's not my fault that they get upset, you know? Like, I think that they should handle it better. It's not my fault.
It is your fault because you're going into their
It's
homes.
not my fault.
But you're going into their
No.
homes.
Well, so what? It's Second Life, dude. It's not like I'm showing up to the real life home.
That's the point I'm trying to make. For most people, it is has the same importance and value as their real life home.
It's kind of sad, though, isn't it?
I'm not so sure. Why is that sad? It. Why is that sad?
I think that that's quite sad. I mean, if you're going to get upset about what somebody says over to you, something that somebody says to you on the internet, I think it just might be a good idea to just log off, don't you?
Yes, but if somebody creates their own universe or their own world, what is the difference between you going in there and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna just sort of harass you a little bit for fun"? What's the difference between that and when somebody, let's say, paints an elaborate painting on the sidewalk and you just step all over that painting and say, wow, this is kind of like a silly, stupid painting. To me, that's the
Well,
same
you know
thing.
what? More than welcome to put up ban lines, you know? If they don't have ban lines, then, you know, it's fine. They're asking for it.
I understand, but if you're renting,
But, you know,
you don't have all the capabilities as if you're owning, as if you would own the sim.
right, I know the ins and outs, so you know more about that than I do.
No, I mean,
But I think we
you're
should
making
get
a
back,
good point.
Drax. You know what?
Yeah.
I think we should change directions. I think you and I should talk about the first time we met because I think you were very angry about it.
I was, yeah, and I talked
Can
to
I
my
tell the
shrink
story?
about it.
Because
No, but hold on.
I think I should tell the story because I don't think that you're going to tell the truth.
You can totally tell the story. I'm not trying to lie about anything. I mean, this is public record. The video is actually still out there. It's unlisted, but it's on the blog. But I really
Yeah,
want
but you
to.
edited out all the good parts.
Yeah, because I really don't see any value in replaying when a crazy dude shows up and throws the N-word around and calls people fags. That's to me the line that is absolutely not acceptable.
Unrelated guy.
Yes, you're unrelated to that guy. I'm not saying that, but I cut that out because it was mixed in with the other stuff. It was just a live stream. Sorry, you were breaking up. Please go ahead.
I was saying that before I had ever shown up, there was already a man there who was harassing you.
Yeah, like I said,
apparently...
I lumped you guys together on accident, but hold on. You can recount that story. I don't find it that interesting. What I find way more interesting is how did you find out about Second Life? What made you choose this career path?
Career path?
Yeah. Or what is it to you? Is it just sort of a little hobby, or I mean, like I said,
please don't insult me like that.
You see that as an insult. Why?
Yeah, please don't call this a career path. I don't think that anyone decides to troll Second Life and expects to make a career out of it. I think that's that's a terrible idea.
Then why did you do it?
I just sort of do it for fun.
Okay.
Because it's good fun, Drax. It's not difficult. No, there's no goal. I mean, I don't consider myself to be a YouTuber, and if you've ever watched my videos, I don't know what I'm doing when I record these things. I don't really know how to edit these things. I literally throw this stuff together in like maybe 20 or 30 minutes on iMovie.
Okay.
So no, there's no career, there's no goal. I'm not trying to grow a channel. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm having fun, you know? I'm just...
Maybe that's something I can't relate to.
It's
possible. I thought you...
What? What did you say?
That is something I can't relate to. Just doing that, and you know, at your age. I mean, that's what I told you when we first met. I really would like to understand why you're spending time.
Oh.
Why are you spending?
When we first met, I believe that you referred to me as a heroin addict with potential. How hurtful, dude.
I don't recall that, but it sounds pretty accurate.
You call a heroin addict? I mean, of all the things you could possibly compare me to, a heroin addict.
We're going all over the place. Let me please backtrack.
Oh, yeah.
I want to find out. So you're doing this for fun. So you discover Second Life, and then you come in, and then you go like, what should I do here? And then you determine somehow that there's a lot of sort of sad old men in here that sort of, I don't know, and then you try to kind of get a rise out of them, or what?
You know, I think that I show up and I say a few things. If you've watched any of my videos, I can literally just show up to someone's home and say, hello, how are you? And they spiral out of control. And I think that's interesting. I don't understand why that is. I couldn't imagine somebody being on a game and saying something to me that would make me spiral like the way that certain people do on Second Life.
Right, because you have absolutely no investment. You have no investment
Why would I want to be emotionally invested in sex? Life. That's a terrible idea.
Okay, let me tell you why. We did a wonderful documentary 4 years ago, feature documentary. I'm going to link to it about people with physical disabilities, and they have a wonderful community called Virtual Ability, and they invest in the community. These are people who are not able to move around a lot. They can't travel around the world for obvious reasons. They have a wonderful community. They're invested in their community. They're built their houses in Second Life. They make their friends there. They have an investment in this community. So when somebody comes and kind of destroys that with words or whatever, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, no. I don't come and destroy anything.
Mhm.
If anything, they should be happy that I've shown up. I could keep them company, sort of like how I'm keeping you company right now.
You feel that when somebody is saying mean things or offensive things, then you just should
I don't
log
say
off.
mean things and offensive things, Drax. I do not show up and say mean things. I do not show up and say offensive
You're
things.
invading people's privacy. You're invading
I
people's
just show up and
privacy.
say hello. What's wrong with showing up and being friendly on Second Life?
Well, if the investment banker on the first floor comes in here and says hello after he sort of screams at my son, I would tell him to get lost or I'll call the cops. That's what I would do in real life, and I don't see
Wait,
any
I'd be alright with
difference.
that.
I don't see any difference between Second Life and that. Again, because when you create a community, you're invested in that community, and that community means a lot
Well,
to you.
that's what that exactly is what makes it so fascinating for me, is because there's an emotional investment in it for a lot of people, and it's such an interesting culture. It's an interesting internet culture to sort of exploit because of that.
Yeah, and that I give that to you, and you found
That's it. We just solved the riddle.
No, it's not.
We
It's
figured it out. We can go ahead and end the interview.
No, I understand. I understand what you're trying to do because um, you feel that there is something strange about people getting so invested in a community, and
Sure.
you and I are very much aligned because we're asking ourselves the same question: why are people so invested? I am equally completely fascinated by the exact same question, but the difference is that you feel this is kind of really dumb that people are invested in a video game, and I feel this is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing that people can create their own worlds, that people are not stuck with what the real physical life sort of deals them, if you will, like in a lottery. The body that they're born with, the financial constraints that they're born with, they all fall by the wayside in a virtual world, and that's a beautiful thing. And it's not a thing that should be exploited in my mind. That's all I'm saying.
I think you're assuming that everyone that I show up and talk to is disabled. I mean, they probably
No,
have some sort of like
wait,
intellectual disability if they're on Second Life to begin with, in any sort of serious way.
That's
But
wait.
at the same time,
That's first of all, that's a little bit offensive that you're saying that everybody who is engaged in Second Life has an intellectual
listen,
disability.
I'm just saying that if I talk to you on Second Life and show up and say hello and you start screaming at me, yeah, there's something wrong there. That's not a normal human reaction. You do.
A lot of people scream
I don't
at
think
each
that can
other.
be argued.
A lot of
No,
people
but
scream.
if you show up to someone and say, hey, I want to move in with you, and they fall apart, like, that's not normal. Like, that's not a normal human reaction.
We're going in circles. If you show up at my door and you say you want to move in, my wife will beat you out the door so fast.
You know what would happen, Drax?
Yeah. What?
I would just simply knock your wife out, and I would walk into your home and make myself a cup of tea. Is what I do.
Okay, and in the real world, we thankfully have authorities to deal with this. But let me say one thing real quick because I know I used the example of people with physical disabilities, and I've done this for a long time. I've spoken to a lot of press, and I did a lot of panel discussion. And whenever I use that, and I use it deliberately, because what always comes back, and you did the same thing. Oh, yeah, I understand. Kind of. I'm paraphrasing you. Um, People with physical disabilities, but not everybody has a physical disability, and you kind of understand it. So what I always get back is like, oh yeah, I understand when that people would seek refuge in a virtual world if they have a physical disability. But that's incredibly ignorant to suggest that only people who have sort of a physical deficiency find it fascinating to live out their creativity. There's a lot of people who live out their creativity who don't have the possibility. I work in the creative field in real life as well. There's a bunch of people who make a living in the creative field, generally speaking, who also are in Second Life, but there's also a lot of people who don't have the ability to flex their creative muscle in their mundane day jobs. So they may work at a grocery store. Incidentally, I was at a bakery in California one time, and I had a Second Life t-shirt on, and the clerk says, "Oh, you play Second Life?" And I go like, "Wow, you're the first person in real life that I kind of meet that
Embarrassing.
does an SL." So here's my point, and I'm gonna be, I'll shut up in a second, and I'll let you respond to this. Um, Even the video that I'm gonna link to it, where you go to Zuby's Babies, which is a hilarious video. I give you that. It's very funny. Okay, so
Oh,
Zuby's
Drax thinks I'm
Babies.
funny. That's fascinating.
No, I said that from the onset. I give you a certain talent in sort of a performance art improv type thing. But anyway, so you did this video. You go to Zuby's Babies, and for people who don't know, Zuby's, and I'm actually working on a Drax Files video documentary about them. It's a woman in Chicago. They make a fortune selling virtual babies. Now, a lot of people find that super creepy and super weird. Let me tell you, I
That is
interviewed her.
weird.
It is
No,
not
there's
weird.
there's no way. No, it is weird.
No, it is not
That's
weird.
weird.
Hold on. Let me be nuanced, and I'll let you talk. What is not weird about this is that you can do things, you can do different things with that. So I have interviewed two women who are in perfectly healthy real life relationships but who cannot get pregnant. It's a sort of therapeutic endeavor when they play with Zuby's Babies. Now, listen, Lavender, I'm not naive or stupid. There are probably a lot of creepy creeps who take these Zuby's Babies, and in your video, actually, you interview. There's people who sell these babies, and they do a secondary market, and it reveals, and that's why I like this video. It reveals a dark side of people. There is no doubt about it. So you're doing something very interesting here. You're kind of exposing people who do have sort of a kind of a creepy disposition. But I think, Lavender, you need to understand that everything I mean, it's not only just creeps and losers in here. I mean, that's what you're suggesting, I guess.
I would say that the primary thing keeping this game afloat are the creeps and losers, and I don't think that if you've spent any amount of time in this game, that can really be argued. I mean, you hop around for a few moments, and that's primarily, those sorts of sims are very active. The really creepy, something's going on here sort of sims.
Why
To get back to what
yeah.
you were...
No, go ahead.
To get back to what you were saying, yeah, this woman creates stuff, and you've interviewed people who are Second Life creators, but dude, I'm like the most talented Second Life creator, and you're interviewing me right now, so I just think you should feel very special about that. I mean, these people might create some creepy babies, or build homes, or whatever in Second Life, but I create raw emotions in people, and don't you think that that's far more creative than anything that you're doing?
I have a child, and I work a lot with children. And if you think that that is creative, then every tantrum throwing 5-year-old is creative. And you're right, to a certain extent they are. But they're also impulsive, and they're completely incapable of sort of controlling their impulses. So if that's your definition
Are
of
you
creativity,
comparing me?
sure.
Oh, whoa. I mean, this got very fatherly. You're giving me kind of this fatherly lecture, which I think is so adorable.
I do that every day.
But are
In
you
both
me to a
lives.
5-year-old?
No, but
You
listen.
compared me to a 5-year-old and a heroin addict. Like, I just don't know how much more of this harassment I can take.
Listen, I give you, like I said, creative.
Let's
What? I mean, you're trying to define creativity. I know you're trying to be provocative as you're saying like you're creating raw emotions and that makes you more talented than the other people. I wanna
much more
just
talented.
right. I just want to ignore that point. But I want to. Well,
That's a
it's
good point. That's my most valid point. What the heck? You're going to ignore me.
oh boy, if that's your most valid point, then
Hey, let's get.
hold on. I want to pick up on what you
Hey,
said with the babies. Hold
I
on.
don't know much about you. We're gonna. No, I want to talk to you about something because
You can.
you're
One more
taking
point.
too much control, and I'm just not
Well,
into
it's my
that. So
podcast.
just let me.
It's my
You what?
podcast. It's my podcast. We're airing this on
Well,
my
I know, but
podcast.
yeah, but there's too much of your voice, and I think we should just sort of balance things out. So let me ask you something,
You're going all
because
Bill O'Reilly
you
on
don't.
me.
Yeah, no, not quite. But you create videos and you create material that promotes Second Life. Is that like a really good, accurate description of what you do
No, I promote creativity. I promote a lifestyle, if you will.
on Second Life?
Yes, it is centric on Second Life because Second Life is a perfect example how a creative sandbox, if that creative sandbox is given to people, that they can thrive, that they can be more than they think they are. The woman who is at the grocery store at the checkout counter, or somebody who does a relatively mundane, repetitive job, if they get sort of reacquainted with that muscle of creativity, then they can be more than they ever thought they could be, or or their teacher told them in school. I wonder what your teacher told you in school what you're going to be.
My teachers told me all sorts of stuff, nothing that I'd probably want to repeat because it's vulgar. But getting back to what I was trying to say,
See, maybe that's why
and
you're in
that's
here.
you. Hey, that's rude. Don't say that. I was just
No, I'm
kidding.
wondering
All
why
right,
are
they
you
said I
in
was.
here? Why are you in
They
here?
said.
I mean, what is your deficiency? What is the deficiency that you have in life that you feel this is even like worth 1 minute of your
I
life,
don't
let
think that
alone?
that. See, this is when a lot of people try to say like, I think people get bullied in Second Life and they automatically want to assume that somebody who's shown up and said weird things to them is, some loser. And who knows? There might be. I'm sure that there's lots of trolls who are losers. I'm just, I'm not one of them.
Hmm. I'm not
I don't
sure.
think that could be argued.
I think that can very well be argued, but not by me because I don't like to be that judgmental. I'm trying to take
You've
you. I'm
been
trying
very judgmental, Drax.
just with the
Oh goodness, you've
with the
told me
heroin
all
addict.
sorts of nasty things.
Yeah, okay, I called you a heroin addict, but I lumped you in with the other guy, with the N-word throwing guy, because I didn't know. Look, when you have a live show about people who survive cancer, and a dude shows up, and he throws around the
Whoa,
N-word,
whoa. Okay, let's talk
let's get
about this
back.
because I
You
think you're
asked
still
me.
very no. We're gonna just go all over the place because that's how I roll. So you're
No
still
kidding.
angry about me showing up to that sim, and I want you to
No, I'm not.
know that I did not know. You were very angry. Listen, you were live broadcasting. I didn't know this. I'd shown up to a sim where there's a bunch of old men sitting around talking about something. You saw me TP into the sim. You cried out. You screamed and you cried out, "Oh my god, Lavender's here." You shut the entire sim down. They banned me. I barely got one word in. And
Well,
you sat there for 30 minutes saying all these terrible things about me and not allowing me to defend myself. That's so rude, don't you think?
okay. Yeah, but that's also factually inaccurate because I did not lock down the sim. That's not even my sim. I didn't even
Guys,
know who you were.
Drax cried out. He cried out. He screamed like a girl.
Hmm. All right, if you say so. But uh, that
He edited it out of the live stream though, just FYI.
right. What I really want to know from you, please, when, why do you dismiss the importance that Second Life has for certain people? Don't you find? Can't you have some sort of empathy for people who? It's not even empathy because some people live extremely fulfilling and rich, physical lives, and they, you know, I mean, I just, that's what I
No,
don't get.
I do understand what you're saying, but I think that you're assuming that every single person in one of my videos is someone who... Is this your friend that's just shown up? Who's this furry?
I don't know. I have a lot of furry friends. I don't discriminate against
Hello,
them either.
Billy.
Right, I know,
Billy,
Lavender.
you
You're
want to
gonna
come
say
have a
like
seat?
you're gonna say that every furry is sort of a weirdo, right? Is that what you were gonna say?
I don't even think that needs...
Okay, I can't put on the IMs, otherwise I'll show the I'll show this sim name, and then somebody comes
to be
in.
said. And the iTroll has a disability, like a physical disability. And that's just simply, like, some people are just stupid. Like, you have to understand that. Like, some people are just retarded. And
Right. And because
they freak out about silly things.
Right, and because you feel that they're stupid, you have a sort of an invitation. It's legitimate to make fun of them, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. No. But what I'm saying is that when I show up, what people don't realize... Are you going to let me talk?
Sure.
No, you're not letting me finish, because you know that I'm... Listen, just let me talk.
Mm-hmm.
When I show up and say something to someone, I don't show up and I'm not rude or nasty. I usually use all of my manners, not going to lie about that one. But when I show up, the other person has control of the situation. It's not my fault that they overreact and scream and fall apart. They're in control, just don't realize it.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. This is the conversation I had with when my son was 10, 11, 12. Why does he try to get a rise out of his grandpa? Because he's 10, 11, 12. That's what he thinks creativity is. That's what he thinks is, and I was trying to channel.
Let's compare each other, because let's compare channels, right? Sure. Like, I'd hate to do this. I'd hate to embarrass you, Drax.
Yeah.
But I throw these videos together in like 20 minutes, like zero effort.
Right.
And this is your life's work. Like, this is what you do. And for some odd reason, I'm still more entertaining than you and can seem to pull more views on videos than you, which is sad because I don't get a whole lot of views. Mm-hmm. But this is what you do. Like, this is not what I do.
Right, so that makes you proud. So it makes you proud that you throw something together without care.
No, I think that it's funny that you're so angry and like being so hostile towards me.
I am not.
I just think
I'm not angry toward.
Listen, guys, he's yelling at me. Drax is yelling.
Oh boy.
Stop yelling at me. I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry that I'm.
Hold on.
So it just can't be helped.
You think that you're what makes you think that you're more entertaining than me? But
well,
a related
given
question,
the last 20 minutes of this interview, as any sort of an indication.
Is it important to you to entertain or to get sort of those likes and those comments? Is that why you're doing it?
No, not at all. I think if I was trying to do that, I would be trying to focus on growing a channel. Like, I don't monetize off the stuff I do. I'm not trying to grow a channel. I'm not trying to do anything but upload stuff that I've genuinely laughed at, either making it or putting it together.
Right. It's interesting what you're
saying. If I didn't laugh at it, I don't upload it.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't find it funny, you don't upload it.
Exactly. And I mean, it's not...
I mean, that's totally legitimate. That's totally legitimate. And see, this is your freedom to be creative like that. I'm not going to deny that this is a creative act. But what is not a creative act is to solely rely on getting a rise out of people. To me, frankly, and call me a snob or an elitist, if you will, it's a little bit sad, frankly.
He's gonna call you old.
No, it's just, again, I'm sorry, and it's mean to 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds who sort of like push the buttons of their moms or their dads until they explode. But that's kind of what that kind of preteen mentality is that you seem to be having.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Drax? What do you have against... You've already called me a teenager several times. I don't know if you have a thing for teenagers, but you're very You're very
Okay.
insistent on shoving me into this mold of a young teenager, so I'll go along
No,
with that.
no,
So
you
what's wrong with that,
behave.
dude? The big difference would be that I'm waltzing around Second Life having a good time, and you're sat there living your last days in Second Life. I mean, I can understand why you're so angry. I'm trying to have a good time, Drax. I don't understand why you're so angry.
I'm not angry. I just don't
You're
understand why
you're
someone who
screaming
is
at me.
possibly 20 years old thinks it's cool to behave like a 12-year-old. That's what I don't understand. I'm just trying to go back to when I was 20. I didn't want to be that juvenile. I mean, I thought like
I
that was really lame.
would not doubt that you were very boring at 20. I'm sorry that,
Possibly.
I'm fascinating and hilarious and entertaining, but, it can't be helped.
If you think that you're fascinating, then you're delusional. That is sad. And you're
I'm
right.
just, I'm
No,
one
I
of
mean,
the best Second Life content creators right now, and that's, I'm sorry, Drax.
okay, listen,
I can
Lavender.
apologize for it.
Here's a little tip, and I'm going to link that
Give me
to.
some fatherly advice because I don't think that you've given enough lecturing and
Right.
fatherly advice this entire interview.
You really do
I'm
sound
joking,
like
by
my.
the way.
No, you really do sound like my son right now because I'm getting accused of lecturing people every day
You do.
by a young
Why
person.
do you
Yeah.
feel the need to do that, Drax? Why
I
do
don't
you
know
feel the need to lecture me?
because my mom
Having
was a teacher.
fun. You even said yourself that you laugh at some of my videos, and you're trying to
I
you're trying to
do.
paint me in this terrible light, and
No, I'm just trying
it's
to.
defamation.
I'm trying to.
Slanderous.
I'm trying to push you to kind of fulfill your potential. You can be more. See, this is why I lecture.
That
Ultimately,
is
I
so.
care. Ultimately, I care about you. I want you
Hey
to
guys,
do more.
Draxter cares about me. I think he's trying to come on to me. I think this is like his way of flirting with me. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I have this effect on men on Second Life.
I've done that since my 20s. That's why nothing ever worked out. The lecture, the lecture circuit didn't really kind of gel with the ladies. That's why I'm so
I can
lonely.
imagine. You're sitting there trying to be a father to everyone. There's nothing attractive about that.
Woody Allen worked for Woody Allen. Anyways, that was actually
Go
a good
on.
one. See, but that's my kind of humor. I know. Uh, let's get back to the thing here. So, like I said, I think you wanted to. You can actually jump in anytime asking me questions about my motivation, which you did. You asked a very good question, and I thought that hopefully I illuminated a little bit to you why I'm doing this, which I do spend a lot of time sort of
You
crafting these
do.
videos. Yeah,
And you
it's
were making fun of me. You were like, Lavender, why don't you go outside? And I don't even know what you were saying to me. You're saying I need to go get a life
yeah.
and all these things. But dude, I got my whole life ahead of me. You're living your last days here.
Oh, you got. Well, that's a
Your
good
final
point.
days are going to be
That,
spent in Second Life. And,
that,
you think I'm a bad person, but I'm sitting here trying to keep you company. Like, this is how good of a person I am. I'm just trying to keep you company. Like, I'm trying to be nice to you.
right, because
Hopefully I'll get some sort of Girl Scout badge for keeping the elderly company.
I'm gonna have my content people make you a nice Girl Scout badge. You get a special
You should do that.
admission to my group. But the reason why I spend time in Second Life is because I want to tell meaningful stories, and it's a fascinating world. Now you spend time in Second Life harassing other people. And you just told me earlier, you throw these videos together. It's really, you throw them together quickly. You don't put a lot of effort in them, which is fine. I'm not going to fault you for that. But my goal, personally, is a lot different. I really want to create something of much longer value. I want to tell stories that people can watch in 10, 20 years and go like, wow, isn't it fascinating how, let's say, the band Engrama from Barcelona uh, used sort of this early iteration of a virtual world to further their creative goals. I find that really interesting, and so I put
That
a
is
lot
really
of
interesting.
I, yeah, you may laugh at that, but
Well, I'm
uh,
just saying, in 10 years' time, who do you think they're going to remember, Jax? Are they going to remember me, like the person who made them just laugh, Are they going to remember the woman who made them laugh? or some weird old dude who made homes on Second Life. Like, who
now,
are you
Lavender,
going to remember there?
Lavender, I really don't know if you're that delusional. Or if you're just playing with me, and if you're sort of pushing my buttons, but something in me tends to now think that you're really so delusional that you really think that you're creating anything of lasting value, which is completely ridiculous. And what you said earlier,
This will definitely be remembered. My YouTube channel will be remembered forever.
Yeah, because I was on there. That's why.
I don't think so. I don't think you'd go over well on my YouTube channel.
Oh, please! I'll give you access to this video. You can chop it up. You can completely mutilate it and put it on your channel.
I'm going to do all sorts of things to this. Don't worry.
Take me out of context. Do whatever you want, and then think about if that is what you want to do with your life. And I'm sorry, Lavender. I know I'm going back into this fatherly advice mode because that's my mode.
Listen, here we go.
Here we go. You just said you have your whole life ahead of you. Now, when I was your age... Okay,
here we go.
I know, it's terrible. See, this you can just cut out and put on your channel and you get a lot of laughter.
No, you upload it. Your viewers should see you fall apart. I think it's good. I think it's good to see for your viewers to see you like this.
I think my viewers...
Why you're giving me so much oxygen too.
That's
Drax,
right.
why did you give this false attention? And you know what? You probably want friends after this, so I might be your only friend after all this is over.
Possible. But I do believe that getting sort of in the mind of someone like you is an incredible public service. And so, again, you are doing something that doesn't involve name calling. There is... there's an aspect of performance art in there. I still find it incredibly not okay to invade other people's privacy. I just want to repeat that for the record. But that's why I'm giving you this oxygen. I find this incredibly illuminating also for myself, because I really don't understand why a young woman, or a man for that matter, feels that this is worth their while. I know you, at your age, you think you have a lot of time. For me, old people, for old farts like me, time has a different sort of value, because we never have enough of it, because we have responsibilities, we got to earn a living, we have kids, blah blah blah. So every hour that I spend somewhere, I have to think twice about what am I going to do with it, because I want to accomplish stuff. For you, it's different. You have time, and I'm envious of that. You have a lot of time, but I don't understand why you're spending this time harassing people your dad's age. What? Why? Why don't you do something?
Because it's fun. It's so much fun.
Okay, listen. Why don't
I do it because it gives me a good solid laugh. It's hilarious, dude.
Why don't
you
start learning an
that showing up to a biker sim? I do. You know what? I played flute for 6 years. Did you know?
No, but you gave it up.
Fact about me. I have terrible posture now, though. I wish I had the posture that I did when I played flute for 6 years. But no, what I'm saying is that you cannot deny that it's funny to show up to someone in Second Life, say a few words, and have them scream at you. Like, I just don't understand how it gets to that point, but I always find it hilarious.
Yeah, you find it hilarious because you have the mindset of a 12-year-old. And I'm sorry I called you a heroin. What's wrong with having the mindset of a 12-year-old when you're 20? I think there's plenty of wrong with that.
I thought I was... You just said that I was like 14, 15. What happened?
Well, you're kind of in that
by
general
that theory, I'm very
range.
advanced.
That's a good point. You may be anywhere between 12 and 15. So that's what I'm saying, Lavender. Listen, why don't you kind of...
All right, Dad.
Don't you have a little bit more aspiration to kind of grow beyond that shtick is my question.
Absolutely. Of course I do. I don't see this isn't something that anyone does for a long time.
College.
You know, you just... Yeah, I could run the troll college, actually. That might be my future endeavor.
Okay, wait, you said something important. So this is something that nobody does for a long time.
This is just fun. No one does this for a very... Step back. There might be some people who Second Life trolling might be the only thing on their...
Yeah, Britbong, for instance. I mean, Britbong is someone who is building a channel, a brand, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, and you know,
But
again,
there are trolls who make it into something more than what I'm interested in doing. Like, I'm just doing this for a laugh. I'm not trying to grow. I'm not trying to anything besides, just do things that I find funny.
yeah, but isn't that super
But I'm not
selfish
trying to.
and egotistical? Listen, hold on.
Of
Why
course it
is
is. How
exactly?
with that?
But why is that okay? I mean, why is it okay? Hold on, getting a message here from Slack. I gotta turn this off.
All right.
Oh, here we go. This my carpenter just joined the Slack channel. My real life carpenter. He's also old.
Edit this because I was trying to say it. My voice broke up.
No,
So
go ahead.
edit this
Yeah,
back and
yeah.
put this back before what we just said. There are certain trolls who, Second Life trolling will be the only notable thing that they've ever done. But I think for the vast majority of channels or people who make this sort of content, we're just having fun. Like, we're not trying to grow channels. We're not trying to do anything besides just have a laugh. That's all we're trying to do.
Exactly. And a very good point. Thank you for making it. And now I want to read to you from the YouTube channel. There's a comment from Fang Burn. You're saying that you're doing this for a laugh, but for the people
Yeah.
who wait a minute, you're laughing at the expense of someone, and this is my point. You're laughing at the expense of someone. There is a fundamental difference in making a joke and laughing at the expense of someone. And please don't come to me with like politically correct crap right now. Fang Burn is making this point. People are harassed their whole life, and he says basically you're following them into their safe space and harass them there. So that's really what I find objectionable. If anything, I find it objectionable that these may be people who you have no idea how important this is to them. Okay? Hold on. Let me do a quick analogy. And I'm not saying that
Sure.
you're like that, but there was a recent controversy of this family who had a YouTube channel, and I have to look it up because I forgot their name. Basically, the father and the mother were playing pranks on their kids. They had like 4 kids, right? And I think the littlest kid was, well, he had glasses and he seemed a little bit developmentally delayed. So these parents played incredibly cruel tricks on these kids and then put them on YouTube. At the very end of those YouTube little episodes, the mother would reveal that this was only a prank. But they got this little kid who was maybe, I don't know, between 5 and 7, roughly speaking, started to really cry, and it was terrible to watch. And they got into a lot of kerfuffle, and there was a lot of backlash, and the father didn't apologize. Now, there is something.
I'm just going to stop you there.
I know what you're
going
gonna
to
say. You're gonna
I think
you're gonna say that these are
emotionally abusing
adults.
a child in real life.
I know what you're
No,
saying.
I'm saying emotionally abusing a child is very different from what I'm doing, and you're trying to put me.
Oops, sorry, breaking up. I'll give you the opportunity to
truly
restart that
watched
sentence. Hold on, start on over. It was breaking
Am I
up.
still breaking up?
No, it's good now. Go ahead.
You're trying to put me into this mold, and I think that emotionally abusing a child is far different than what I'm doing. Like, that's a bit offensive. I'm not going to lie. I think I know what you're talking about, and I just don't see how you're getting from one place to the other. I think what I'm doing is very different from emotionally abusing a child in real life.
I'm not saying that
I'm
it's the
talking to
exact
60-year-old
same.
people.
Exactly. I knew
Like,
that.
I'm talking to 60-year-olds, and that's very different
Well,
from
let me give
imposing turmoil on a child.
I see what you're saying. You're implying that we all should be, and in an ideal world we would, that everyone has, at a certain age, is emotionally stable, so that they can sort of brush certain things off and put them into context and not get offended and not get personally sort of insulted or, get emotionally disturbed. However, not every person is the same. Like, what would you say if I play sort of like if you play like a Holocaust joke on me personally?
I don't do Holocaust jokes.
Hold on. This is just a hypothetical example. If you play a joke about, no, let's do something different. I'm a little overweight.
But
okay?
you have
People
these
who
very
know,
very dramatic examples,
no,
though.
no, no.
Like, you have these very like offensive dramatic examples.
What do you mean dramatic examples? You don't know the people whose privacy you're invading. You don't know what their vulnerabilities. You have no
Do
idea.
you
Maybe
think
they're
that
traumatized.
showing up and asking them to marry me is really that traumatic? I mean, come on.
Yes, I do. It depends on the
Do
circumstance.
you, do you think that's traumatic? Me showing up and saying, "Hey, can I move in with you?" That's traumatic? I mean, if you're that sensitive, just don't log on the internet. It's very simple.
Right. You're getting
You know what?
harassed. You're
And
getting
it's
harassed in your whole life. You're getting harassed,
that's
and then
not
you
harassment. I'm
hold
actually
on.
very
Let me
nice.
finish. And then you're finding this wonderful safe space, which is Second Life, and then you try to sort of create a sort of a garden of creativity around this, and then somebody comes in and follows you in there, like you're bullied in high school, let's say. You have trauma from that. This is a hypothetical example, and then you're
Are you
creating.
wait, Drax, I know what you're doing. You're drawing conclusions based on your own experiences.
Yes, I was bullied in school. That's correct.
I don't doubt it at
And you think
all.
that's funny? I don't think it's funny.
No, of course not. I feel so
Yeah.
bad for you, so I'm keeping you company
Right. So,
on
but listen.
11 o'clock in the morning. Saturday.
I am in a place in my life where I'm fairly balanced, but somebody who
Same.
went through what I went through may not be as balanced, and they may need a place where they can be safe, where they can enjoy themselves without having the fear that somebody just comes on in. I know what you're saying. Well, what's the big deal if I play a joke and somebody says like I want to get married?
I cannot
blah, blah,
imagine
blah.
creating fear. Do I scare you, Drax? Do I provoke fear within you? Are you scared of me?
No, but now you're upsetting me because you don't seem to. Because
Uh-oh.
to me, the reason why you're
Here we
upsetting
go,
me,
guys.
the reason why you're upsetting me, is that to me, you are a symptom
It took
of a
me.
larger problem, and the symptom is, you're the symptom of a large problem, and the problem is a lack of empathy in society, and that everything is just a joke, and that's just not the case. If we want to move on, and I'm gonna go lecturing on you. Sorry, that's
That's
how
alright.
I
It took me
operate.
45 minutes, Drax. It took me 45 minutes, but I pushed the right button, so let's hear you spiral out of control. Go on.
I'm not spiraling out of control, but there's a difference between
Listen, Drax,
spiraling
regain
out
your
of
composure.
control and
Regain
making
your
a
composure. I don't want you to
serious
fall
point.
apart in front of your viewers.
If you feel this is all a joke, then I find that problematic. It is not all just a joke. Not everything is for sale. Not everything, like, I don't know. Again,
All right,
I'm at the
dude.
point where
Don't
I don't
worry.
understand, where I don't know if you're just trying to push my buttons to get me to kind of like get agitated, or if you're seriously like I said, like a 12-year-old, feel like this is not a big deal. Because to me it is. It is a big deal when you harass someone who may have had trauma that you don't know about.
Sorry. I was just laughing. No, I don't think that I do anything that's very traumatic. And actually, I will argue that the people in my videos are better people for having interacted with me. Like, if I go back to a community sim and there's somebody there who's been in a video, you know what? They don't get on mic. They don't get on mic anymore. They're well composed.
Ah.
And they eject people from the land. And they don't give in to it anymore. I mean, I'm really doing them a favor if you look at it that way.
So you're basically training them. You're teaching them how to deal with trolls.
Exactly. That's it. I'm doing.
That's like, right. That's like the father who was beating his kid, so that he then.
No.
No, it's the same thing, no?
No, it's not. You would say that me showing up saying, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna move in with you," is similar to somebody beating their child. Like, are you that? Is that how we're gonna play it? Like, I understand you're angry, Drax, but you're really trying to, like, push me into this box that I don't really fit into.
I am not a psychologist, so I cannot make
Oh, I don't think anyone would argue with that.
Hold on, the definitive determination if a certain psychological harassment vis-a-vis a physical punishment is worse, or what sort of the gradient is here or whatever. I don't want to make that determination. But we all know that depending on your prior trauma or whatever your situation is, certain words that somebody can brush off can be extremely hurtful to other people. I find it not worthwhile. I don't want to be remembered. And again, for you, this is not a problem because you just
you won't have to worry about it, because you won't be.
You said that, and this is a little bit of a contradiction, and maybe you can answer this for me. On the one hand, you say, well, this is just for fun, and nobody does it for a long time, so yeah, no, whatever. I'm just gonna do this. I'm having fun now. Maybe in a couple months, I move on and do something else. So you don't have any sort of again, investment in all this. But at the same time, don't you want to create something of lasting value? Do you want to kind of like maybe you'll have children at some point, and then they kind of unearth a YouTube video?
Well, not on Second Life, no.
I mean,
that's
in real life.
That's nothing that I wanted to create for, but that's real life. This isn't. This is Second Life.
Okay,
you're trying to make this into like this big.
No, this is our fundamental disagreement, and this will not be solved in the hour of this podcast. Is that
no, it definitely won't.
Is that you feel this is something that is just like an online type of conversation, and academics call this the online disinhibition effect, where your generation primarily feels that nothing is really that important or is that sort of serious, so we can just basically, it's being used as an excuse to be incredibly offensive because it's sort of not face to face. And the online space has that unfortunate sort of side effect that people think, yeah, I can say that, but if that person would stand in front of me, I wouldn't say that. And you seem to feel the exact same thing about Second Life, and I don't. I fundamentally don't feel like that. I feel Second Life is as real as anything else.
And I'm so sorry for that. But what I'm trying to get at is that, look, this is the wrap up right here. People on Second Life, lighten up. Stop being so angry. Stop yelling. Lighten up. Learn to laugh. And when some weird girl shows up to your Second Life home and asks to marry you, just simply say yes. That's it.
Two things, and we're going a little bit in circles, but I think it's a great public service for people who are watching or listening to this later on. Two things. Number one, some people may not have that sense of humor that you're demanding, and it's an excuse in my mind.
Encouraging.
Number two, some people cannot afford that sense of humor because you are pushing a button, you're pushing a hurtful button, you're stabbing into a wound that you don't know about.
Oh,
because
God.
You don't know that person. No?
Oh, not at all. I think that you're trying to paint me to be some villain, Drax, and I'm very offended by it. I'm not stabbing anything.
Alright, we have an hour recording, we have 2 more minutes. Any closing words? Do you want to know anything about me? How sad am I that this is my entire life and I'm leaving to my children only a bunch of Second Life videos? Isn't that sad?
That is sad,
I
but
could have done so much. I was such a talented child. I played the flute too, actually. And I gave it up. And now I'm here in Second Life, sitting in my mom's basement and doing videos about other losers. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Drax. It is. But, we can't all be as talented as I am.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty talented. I think over the course of this hour, I don't think that could be argued. I'm pretty special.
You're trying to read me, and you're undoubtedly counting on the fact that I get agitated by you saying that you're talented, because obviously, I that you, in your estimation, or
It does seem to be a sore subject.
listen. In your analysis of me, in your 12-year-old sort of mindset, you think you can push your dad's
14.
button. I mean, this is your projecting. I'm your dad right now. I don't know what happened in your childhood. I have no idea. But obviously, the fact that you're walking around and harassing middle-aged men and me, who is a slightly below middle age, has to do with your personal relationship to your real-life dad. And I don't know. I'm not going to speculate what that is.
So are you saying that I pushed your buttons? Are you admitting to that? Is that you?
That's your whole shtick. There is nothing more to it. It's
No,
very
I'm
simplistic.
asking.
Yes, you're
So I
pushing
pushed your buttons.
Yes, you are.
Did I push your buttons?
Do you want to get a medal for that, or you want to get a certificate, or what? I mean, of course you're pushing a button.
Do you make me one? You know all these Second Life creators. If they could make me like some sort of certificate, that would be fantastic.
I think
would actually print it out and put it in my home somewhere.
I think they look at you for 2 seconds and they go like, you know what? So they don't want to spend time with a loser. That's what they would say. I'm not saying.
Well, they're friends with you. They're friends with you, so obviously they, don't have very high standards.
Okay, you're asking me if you're pushing my buttons. Yes, you're pushing the button in the sense that I find your definition, and that's how. I mean, I gotta give you that, but it's not that hard to analyze me. I mean, I'm an open book, and I lecture, and I'm always talking about the importance of creativity. So of course, when somebody like you comes to me and says that you're so talented while all you're doing is harassing people, yeah, that kind of pushes my buttons. No?
You heard it here, guys.
What are they hearing? That you win?
Mission accomplished.
Right, because at the top of the hour I was calm, and now I'm slightly agitated. So your mission is
It
accomplished.
happens, dude. It's fine. It happens to the best of people, Drax. Don't worry.
All right.
There's some sort of support group on Second Life somewhere, I'm sure.
Let's wrap up this show. Obviously, in this sparring match, Lavender wins because I was incredibly calm, and now I'm pissed off. And that's and she's going to congratulate herself.
I'm going to give him a big hug, guys. Don't worry. As soon as he releases me from this basement, I'm going to give him a big hug and teleport away.
So here you are on a Saturday. Do you have any friends in real life?
I do. I have quite a group of friends. You know what I'm doing after this?
No. What?
I'm about to log off. I have to. Is this still being recorded?
Yes.
You can end it here. Oh shit. Well, never mind. I'll tell you what I'm going to do after you end it.
So you don't. I'm not asking you to reveal any details about where you live and all this kind of stuff. I'm just, again, I mean, this is to me part of this whole thing, and I'm not playing an act, by the way, like you do. I am for real.
Right.
This is the real me. This is how I feel. I am a little bit agitated. I'm a little bit pissed off, because, again, you are to me a symptom of sort of a decline in empathy in the world, and that's a huge problem. And I don't want to, I'm not sort of an ageist where I go like, oh, the young people, they're all like, they don't have any empathy. I'm not going to say that. There's people, all generations, who have very specific problems, and they contribute to this dismal world that we live in. But your generation, to me, and this has to do with politics, has to do with the election of Trump,
I don't touch politics.
Everything. But you are to me in that same symptom. You just
no. That's a whole different breed of troll.
See, and that's, I think, your true delusion, where you, in 10 years, hopefully, you have the honesty where you say, yes, I kind of underestimated that. I'm not saying you have the same impact. You have almost no impact because we're in a very niche virtual world. But the impetus and the philosophy behind what you do is exactly the same that some of these Trump trolls do. Some of them are not even Trump fans. They don't care. They don't care about politics. They just want to get a rise out of people. And their defense mechanism is, oh, I don't care about if Trump or Hillary, who cares? Politics is bullshit. I just want to get a rise out of people. Well, mission accomplished for them too, because they got a rise out of people. Okay? But people are so stupid that they voted for this idiot, for this asshole. Anyway.
You seem very angry about it. Do you want to keep talking about that?
Yeah, I totally would. I could go on for another hour because, this is all related. You cannot run away and hide behind, oh, I'm just doing an hour fun, and, oh, look at this guy. He's a middle-aged man and he has a house in Second Life and I'm just playing some tricks on him. This is this very same motivation if it's in Second Life or if it's sort of making up stuff about a pedophile ring in a pizza place to get Trump voters agitated. You're pushing buttons is what you do, Lavender. And these other guys are pushing other buttons. Your stuff has no relevance. Your stuff has no consequence. The stuff that these other people do, that has consequences in the real world. So that's where I see the correlation. Now, what are you going to do after we get off this interview? You going out with your friends or what?
I'm going to go teach a cycling class and try not to die. That's what I'm going to do.
That's good. That's a good public service. Are you doing this with old people?
So, no, old people can't do cycling classes. Do you know?
Okay, we have an.
But I can always. I try to work out. I'm doing the cycling class, so if in the some off chance that I find one of the people that I bullied in one of my videos, I'll always be able to outrun them. That's my tactic.
Yeah,
I'll always be able to outrun people like you, Drax.
You just used the word bullied. So are you a bully or what?
No.
You're not a bully.
I don't think that what. No.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I'm a bully, Drax?
What is a bully? How do you define it?
That might be like a whole nother podcast. We might need to do a part 2 to this, don't you think?
We have a great. Now we're gonna have a discussion here on the YouTube stream. See, people are just waking up. My audience is really. They're old, as you have pointed out.
Yeah.
Here's some people who are now getting into Pizzagate is true. Anyways, let me just say real quick for anybody who is watching the live stream, I'm going to take this video unlisted after it airs. I'm going to give it to Lavender. My guest today is Lavender Storydale. This is for the Drax Files Radio Hour. I'm going to put this out on the podcast on draxfiles.com in about an hour or so when I clean it up a little bit. I'm not going to censor it. I'm just going to clean it up and put a little bit compression because I take pride in my work. As opposed to my guest, as she has pointed out earlier. I'm just paraphrasing her. And we're talking about trolls, and we're talking about harassment masquerading as sort of fun. And Lavender here argues that it's not a big deal when she goes into some people's homes in Second Life and, and just sort of invades their privacy. And I think that's problematic.
Alright, Drax, let me out of this dungeon you have me trapped in.
Maybe that's the way to beat you, is to just keep talking and lecturing until you kind of explode. Maybe I can do the same. I could harass you with my lecturing so that you get so annoyed and quit.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal, dude. Your lectures are so boring. But right. It's fine.
Let's end this. This has been the Drax Files Radio Hour. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Drax. I'm happy to be the only interesting person that you've ever interviewed. So.
That's right.
Thanks for that, dude.
Lavender.
It's gonna be your best interview yet.
Lavender, as pessimistic as I sometimes seem, I'm also at the same time an idealist, and maybe you will find the light sooner rather than later, and you understand that you're doing some damage here with people that you don't know about. And I want to end the story. I want to end this podcast with a very quick anecdote. I was once really pissed off at AT&T. And listen, Lavender, please listen. I know it's not gonna be long. It's gonna be a minute. This little anecdote, and then you can comment, and then we'll quit. But I want to end with this anecdote. 5 years ago or so, I was really pissed at AT&T because of the cell phone coverage, or something happened, or they overcharged me. I really don't remember the details. So I'm calling AT&T, And I'm really pissed off because here's a huge corporation and they're kind of messing with me by doing bad accounting, and maybe it's on purpose or maybe it's just a mistake, blah blah blah. So I called him and say, hey, how about this charge, and how about why is this charging? And there's an older guy on the phone and he appears to be a little slow. But I'm in no, I'm in a pissy mood. And I go like, hurry up. And I'm really rude to him because I'm really agitated. And to me, he is the stand-in of this huge corporation at this point. So I am rude, and I'm, dare to say it, harassing, because I accuse him of what AT&T has been sort of the injustice that has been done upon me. He says, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm a little slow." And I said, "Well, you sound slow. Hurry up, I don't have all day." And I say stuff like that, okay? Really rude. He breaks down and he says he's 75 years old, his wife died of cancer, and he had to get a job in a phone service with AT&T, and he's learning all the technology, and he just started the job, and people are really kind of expecting very fast service to him. And that opened my eyes what an asshole I was, because he represented to me AT&T, but he was not AT&T. He was in the same boat that I was. He was screwed by AT&T and the system because he had to take this job, and they threw him into the job, and they didn't train him properly, and they put him on with a pissed off customer right away. And so I apologized to him. I asked him if he were to give me his address, I'm going to send him a gift. I was really distraught. Now, Lavender, I don't assume that you have that sort of same empathy, because obviously you don't. Alright.
I think that guy was trolling you, Drax. I don't think that anything was wrong with him.
That's right. And I think...
But I think we've solved the riddle.
Right.
I think
we solved the riddle, and we
solved the riddle to why you cannot get views.
We exceeded
we've solved it, dude. These lectures are so boring and brutal. Like, I'm just sitting here wondering when you're going to stop.
Yeah.
You have a future in trolling, dude.
I could troll people with my lectures, is what you're saying. I could just go into people's houses and say, I'm not like Lavender, I don't want to marry you, I just want to lecture.
Yeah, let me sit you down and be Dr. Phil for about 5 hours. You just don't shut up. Alright, Drax, this was fun. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Alright.
And send me that certificate.
I'll have somebody make a certificate, and then when you ever get sort of a burst of empathy, let me know.
Alright, dude. Take fantastic care.
Get off my land. I'm still streaming. And there she goes. Alright, folks, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joey Yardley. And somebody's here to clean up. I don't know, who is this? Busy Pfeffer. Thanks, Busy. If you're listening to this on the podcast, Busy Pfeffer is here cleaning up after this interview, and I'm gonna cut the stream right now, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna log off and edit the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. It's funny, we got some really crazy Trump people here on the YouTube. It's always hilarious to see that craziness go on. Thanks for watching. Busy, you should come on next week, okay? Cool?
Probably. Yeah.
We're gonna I'll ping you because we can tape this on a Thursday, because I'm gone from the 19th, then we can tape it Thursday and I can edit it for the Saturday show. I'm serious. I gotta log off right now, and I'll confirm with you via email, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay, Busy. Thank you.